Paranormal Evidence.
Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices
Paranormal Evidence.
Good evening and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm Tony Rathman.
I'm Shuri Rodman, and hello.
Hello, I'm Chris Allgood.
I'm Audrey Keeler.
I'm Lourdes Gonzalez.
I'm not. I'm Ron Yacovetti, and I'm happy to be here with my friends.
Yay! Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It's President's Day, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of us had off, and I'm only referring to one person.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
We have a fantastic show tonight. And for those who may be joining us tonight on the KUNX network, this is our first show. Not our first show for this program, but we're happy to be here. We are looking forward to this new stage to bring our show to, and we're delighted to be here. So forever who is joining us tonight, thank you. But tonight we have Victoria Mundae. And Victoria has quite the background within the paranormal. She's a paranormal investigator. She is a podcast host.
Yes.
And she's been involved in quite an array of paranormal documentaries and miniseries. So why don't we bring in Victoria and let's say hello.
Did we pronounce her last name correctly?
Did I not?
I don't know. We'll ask her.
Hello, Victoria.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations on your new network. I'm so
Thank you.
proud
you.
and excited, misty-eyed, to be your first guest. I'm so excited. This is cool. And yes,
We're excited to have you.
Thank you so much. And you did say my name correctly, but if just gotta be careful if you're texting, it'll autocorrect to mundane. So
I did say
like that.
correct. So.
Okay, good.
like Tuesday. Yeah.
He's past the avocado days. He's past
Right.
them.
Well, no, not past them.
He's
Just
grown.
got one right. So why don't we start out by Victoria, you giving a little bit of a background, how you got involved in the paranormal, what happened that drew your interest, how it led you up to everything that you're doing today, and give us a little background.
Oh, geez, how long's your show? I don't think I got into the paranormal, to be honest. I think the paranormal got into me because these are things that have been happening since, well, I'm not going to say what year, but I was like 2, and I can remember that far back things happening. And it's just something that's followed me my whole life. And you know how it is when you're growing up as a kid, you think, well, this is normal for everybody. It wasn't until I was, in high school, I'm like, well, everybody doesn't live this way. I mean, what do you mean?
Right.
So, I mean, and then, hijinks ensued after that. So it's just something that's always been with me.
Nice.
Wow.
That's cool.
What is that like growing up? What is that? How is it?
What's it like to grow up?
Growing up. What is growing up like?
Experiencing
None
that.
of us have experienced it. None of us. We haven't got there yet.
Well, at 15, you get your driver's license and it's woohoo, I'm gone, Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I would try and tell my mom. My dad left when I was 8, so he wasn't really in the picture. Ironically, my dad passed this last year, and I have seen him more since he has died. He won't go away, but it's nice to have him around. We have talks now. In fact, on Edge of the Rabbit Hole one night, we log in early to do system checks too, and our guest logged in. And he goes, "There's a man sitting behind you on the sofa," and I'm looking. I'm like, "Well, no." And I showed him a picture of my dad. He goes, "Yeah, that's the man." I'm like, "Oh, he just died." Yeah, so he's hanging around on the sofa sometimes, and we've had just regular viewers go, "Your curtains are moving. There's a shadow on your sofa." I'm like, "Okay." So my dad hangs around. So he may show up. I don't know. I'm sorry. What was your question? What was it like?
Actually, not to. Is there air or something flowing behind you? Because the curtain to your left shoulder is moving. It did move.
No, I do have the ceiling fan on, but it's back over there.
Yeah, it's moving again. It just slid and again.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It could be the ceiling fan, but there is movement there. No doubt about
Yeah.
it.
To your left.
I've studied curtanology, and I'm pretty sure.
My left.
Technology?
Which left?
Your
Nice.
left. Victoria.
Nice.
left.
It will be your left.
Stage
Yeah,
left.
that side.
You
Yeah, that's-
certified in that, Ron?
That's
I am
George Bush
certified
right
in
there.
curtanology.
Nice.
I do have a
Nice.
talking George Bush right there.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So that's George back there. You know.
That's fun.
That's proud.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Well, Victoria sent in some great paranormal evidence that we are going to review tonight. We have pictures, we have video, but I think the first one, do you want to go through the photographs first, or do you want to go into the video first?
Oh, I don't care. I'm a free spirit.
All right. Well, why don't I play the video that's sort of the cut from the documentary?
Okay.
Just because it gives a little more background on you, and also gives some real good examples of things you've been involved with. So let me play that one first, and then we'll talk about it. So here comes.
That was COVID hair, so you have to forgive me for that. So, don't look at my hair.
All right. Here comes that clip.
I feel that it is possible to build a relationship with a shadow person. When I was doing the ghost tours out in Old Town Spring, they would always tell me, hey, when you're done with your tour, come on over and we'll do the paranormal. You can do the investigation with us. I'm like, okay, sure. And this was like really the first time, and I was all excited. I'm going to do a paranormal investigation. Old Town Spring was basically, it was just a stop on the road, really. It's where the railroad workers would stay when they were actually building the railroad. And so, of course, they had like places where they would camp. And then there were a couple of small buildings. And then there was one building that was really, really well constructed right close to the railroad tracks. And that was actually the kitchen. So part of the investigation that we would do is we could actually go in to that building, because it was always repurposed. First, it was the cookhouse. And then it became the ice house after the railroad was finished. And of course, it being the Wild West town that it was, it kind of became the morgue too. You know, they'd put the people on the ice. You know, like, scoot over, sir, I need to fill up a bucket. So they would chisel off the ice. And so they believe that's one of the hauntings in the town, is because their spirits were kind of moved around the town. So I was all excited to go and learn about this. And so I was in the ice house with the girl who was leading the investigation. So we're out there at midnight, and you could hear somebody walking around the ice house. I'm like, oh. And so we were in the ice house, and you could hear somebody walking around out there, and we were away from everybody else. There's nobody else in that town. We were standing there with all of our tools and everything, and the light broke. And so I naturally looked over, and I saw a shadow go by. I was like, oh, I hear somebody out there. There's somebody out there. And she's like, nope, there's nobody out there. Sure enough, he comes around the other door. The light breaks again. I look over there. I'm like, okay, there is somebody over there. So I run outside, and I'm looking for someone, because there is no way, because it's gravelly over there. You know, it's part of the railroad. And you could hear someone walking on the gravel. It's very distinct, very loud, like a large, heavy man. I run out there. There's nobody around. I run to the other side. There's nobody around. And you could tell if somebody was there, because there's no place to go, really. I came back in, and I said, okay, there was somebody out there, but I don't know who it was. A few minutes later, he goes by again. I was like, oh my God, he is so tall. Did you see him that time? And she goes, yeah, I saw him. So he's so tall, I can't even see his head. You know, he reminds me of my grandpa, because my grandfather was huge, huge, huge. And he was a welder, and he wore overalls, and that's what the man had on. And we would go to other parts of the town, and you could hear him walking. And then you would see the shadows on the buildings. You know, somebody was casting a huge shadow. Nobody is out there. So I was saying, well, maybe he's like my grandpa. He just kind of protects me. So whenever I would walk around on these investigations, 1, 2, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, just a handful of us little gals out there with our equipment and our Q2s and everything. And I felt like he was protecting me, kind of, because there was one night I was leading a tour, and we were going to go in the ice house, pitch black, dark moon, can't see anything. And I start to walk in, and something hits me on top of the head so hard, I doubled over. And I just knew I walked into a board or something. So I bent over, and I might have said an expletive or something. And I stood up, and I was like, man. And I was looking, I had my phone, and I was looking around for the board. And the man behind me goes, you almost walked into that spider web. And it was a huge spider web across the door, big old spider in it too. So I am quite confident it was him.
So this was the most unusual thing.
Something.
So let me ask, did you ever capture on photograph or recording or video this particular shadow figure that was interacting with you?
Oh, not that one. That one, I later found out there was 18, whatever. There was a train engineer who was run over and decapitated. And that is like the friendly shadow person who was walking around. And that's one reason I never saw his head, because I thought he was tall. Oh, my bad. He just didn't have a head. That one I never captured, but a friend of mine did take, and I think I might have sent you the picture of the, hey everyone, of the shadow person. There's a very nasty, nasty entity out there. And I was leading a team on a tour one night, and it was a midnight tour, and there were about 6 football players. So they're all football players and their little skinny cheerleader girlfriends. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But the shadow figure stepped out, and I went like that, and all the football players jumped back and they ran off, and everyone's leaving me. And I'm like, what, guys, and so you can tell when the nasty one is out there. But a friend of mine did capture that one on film. And I think I might've sent you that picture as like one where he was walking.
I think you did. We'll go through those next. But what I find so interesting about that is that people who will see apparitions will say, you know what? I know that was him. He had a jacket that he always wore, and the apparition was wearing that jacket, or he had on the outfit that we always saw him in, whatever the case may be. If they can do that, why couldn't they reproduce their head? I just don't understand that.
That's a good question.
That's just always, because there's a lot of reports of that, of headless apparitions or no legs, or whatever the case may be. But it just seems strange to me that they could reproduce how they used to look. People recognize them, but why you wouldn't reproduce yourself to still have your head? That's strange to me. But
that's kind of like why are there no ghost of dinosaurs?
Mental capacity, maybe.
Yeah. That is fascinating though too, because there are some theories that suggest when you see an apparition, a lot of times it won't have, let's say, feet, or it'll go down just past the knees. Some theorize that the reason that happens is they manifest with just enough energy to show stuff that would make them recognizable or discernible. If you saw an apparition of your aunt and she didn't have her feet, you wouldn't go, "Oh, I don't know, I need to see the big toe."
No,
that's funny. One of the things, if you want to call it a gift or ability or just a nudge, hip check from the universe, usually my family will come to me right before they die, like the night before. And the night my mother was dying, I saw her at the foot of my bed. She had no legs. So I never, well, plus not to say anything against short people, but she was kind of short anyway. So I didn't really notice.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some of the photos that you submitted, because there's some good stuff here.
Chris loves photos.
Yes, he does.
Everything stands still. It's easier to look at it and analyze it.
All right.
Yeah, so, Waldo wouldn't stand a chance with you.
All right, I'm gonna pop the photo up. It's gonna cover our. You know what? No, I don't.
Pop the photo.
So okay, so here's the first one. Why don't you give a little background on what we're looking at and what this photo is?
Oh, okay. Well, this is in Old Town Spring. Now, Old Town Spring is now like a little touristy area. It's where the railroad originally came in from Galveston. They went from Galveston to Spring, and there was 3 brothers. Charlie Winchy and the other guy, Frank, I think was his name, who were actually building the railroad. And they basically said, screw this, I don't want to do this anymore. And they built a cafe. And this is the overflow that was built in the 80s to seat people in the cafe. And now, can you see him up there on the corner, kind of where it does that little niche thing?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Right
That
there.
part of the building actually caught on fire in 2015. And I took this like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
Wow.
There's no roof because it was on fire. They're waiting to tear this down. And since it's a historical structure, they had to, get certain permits and rebuild it. And it's all rebuilt now. But we were out there one night, some friends and I guess you could say we were invoking spirits, if you know what I mean, wink, wink. And we were, having a girls' night out. And there was nobody in the town because that town closes at dark, because it's mainly, gift shops and tattoo parlors and little restaurants and stuff. And so we were out there, and there was a ghost, a well-known ghost, who is in the building next door, which is the actual saloon, where it was a brothel and gambling and a saloon and a little cafe. And so we were out there going, "Hey, Charlie, you want some girls?" And I didn't see him because, I'm out there with my phone, and we were all just being goofy. And I got home and I saw a man there. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And if you look at it, it looks like a man going, "Who the heck is yelling at me down there?"
Yeah.
And I went back the next day and I said, "That's got to be the tree branch." And so I stood in the exact same space, took a picture, and the tree doesn't go up like that. It goes down. So I think that's Charlie. Now, we've had a lot of interactions with him because part of the paranormal tours we would do would be like an investigation type. And we would go around to the back to where the brothel actually had stairs. And it was hot summer Texas, and I had kind of a tank top on, and I had my what do you call those things? SBS going. Or no, I had my Ovilus, that's what it was. And I set it down on the stairs because it was hot, and I was putting my equipment down, and my shirt kind of fell open, and it said "nice" going right across. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So it's Charlie. I get you." So we went out to his grave, on November 1st, as a sign of respect. We go around to local graves out here and clean them up and take flowers just to let everyone know they're not forgotten. And I actually found his grave, and so I was cleaning it off, and I said, "Hey, Charlie, you remember me?" And he goes, "Finally." And I'm like, "Okay." So he is known to be a flirt out there, and I was just really surprised that he showed up in my picture that night.
Can I serve up a softball to Chris Allgood? Because
sure.
One of the things that you said that I love is and this is Chris's wheelhouse for sure, and then I'll shut up.
No.
Situational awareness. Now, you knew the status and the structure of the roof and the place that the person's standing, because the first cynical critique could be, "Well, how do you know it wasn't a person there?" I mean, you just took it off the table immediately because you were aware of your surroundings, thus vetting the authenticity of the capture. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Tony, bring up that last photo with the circle, would you, real quick?
Yep.
So not only did Victoria verify the next day that there wasn't a tree limb there, but if you look closely at the figure that's standing right behind the wall, you'll notice that the tree branches that are off in the distance look faded. You can tell they're in the distance.
Oh,
but if you look at the figure that's peeking around the wall, you can see that it is right there by the wall.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the tree over to the right, it's not as pronounced as the figure that's caught in the photo. So that is actually standing right there. Sorry, Victoria. That is actually standing right there. And for her to know that the roof's not there, nothing else could be standing there. If it's not the tree, there's no roof, and it's right there by that wall. That makes it paranormal.
Yeah. If you can zoom in sometime and look at it, whenever, play back your video, you can actually see him wearing a cowboy hat, and he has like a bandana on.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it looks like he has a hat on, and you could tell. I mean, Chris just said it perfectly. You rule out the tree, and it doesn't even have the same depth of color to the black tone that it has. You rule out the tree. You rule out the fact that a person could be standing there, and then you look at the structural outline of the building, and that wouldn't even be. There wouldn't be any continuity or what's the word I'm looking for? Symmetry to the structure. Unless you had something like a chimney stack or something that would make sense to be standing there, but there's nothing that looks like a human figure.
Yep.
To make it even more in the woo-woo world, the main saloon is maybe 10 feet from that area right there, and he died in the room, which would have been right there, looking out on that top of the roof. So he died about 10 feet away.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's
no further questions. You may step down.
Work here is done. Thank you. Thank you. Tune in tomorrow.
Okay, I was just going to try to see real quickly if I can share.
Zoom in.
Right, because I loaded them and I never thought about that when I was loading them. But let me see if I can.
Well, that's how good the capture is that without even zooming in,
You can see it.
you can see it, and you can see all the characteristics that Chris described as far as the density of the black tone. You can see all that from the distance that shot was at.
But
That's
he wasn't
really
there
good.
Oh, thank you. But he wasn't there when I. Wait, those are all my pictures. Don't. Yeah, you couldn't see it. He wasn't there when I took pictures because I would spin around and I was taking pictures everywhere. And
Okay, I should be able to zoom in on it now, but you'll
Very good.
clearly
Yeah.
be able to see that.
oh yeah,
it's-
now you can see him.
Oh wow, yeah, that's the lot.
yeah.
Wow,
Look at the
Yeah,
hat.
look at the hat.
look at the hat. Yeah,
Jacket. He's got his leg up on the something. I don't know.
yeah, and if you look at like what Ron said, the leaves as I zoom in are already starting to distort, pixelate.
yeah, they're starting to pixelate too. Yeah, and he's
He
not.
is not. So
Yeah.
this
Good point,
is
Tony.
this is not the same object. Now,
Right.
clearly, you can see the collar, you can
Yeah.
see the neck, the heads underneath the hat, but you
Yeah.
can see some sort of design on the hat as well.
Mhm,
That is an awesome photo.
Yeah, you
So
can
what
actually
makes-
see the curl
I
of
was
the
gonna
brim
say,
and
it's
everything. Yeah.
curly.
Right.
What makes it even
Right.
funnier is he's looking directly at where my friends were screaming at him. So they were in the street going, "Hey, you want some new girls?"
mhm.
You know?
Like looking towards.
Yeah, he's
the
looking
left.
like right down. But
Yeah.
what makes this even more phenomenal is the fact, like Chris and Ron stated, that she was aware that there's no ceiling,
Yeah.
there's no roof, so there is nothing for him to be standing on.
And
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
a couple of
notice
beams
the
that go
shadow
across.
is really, really dark, as in really dark.
Right.
Shadow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
pay
there are-
really close attention. So back in the 1800s, that sign was usually around 36 to 42 inches. The
Now, that part of
WN
the-
sign.
Yeah, that part of the building was built in the 1980s. It,
Okay.
just
So that's
to
at
stay
least
in theme.
36 inches there, because
Mhm.
those letterings
Yeah.
would have been 24 inches. So it's Tony, scroll back over the opposite way towards the cowboy, would you? So here's what's interesting. A cowboy back in the 1800s would have been probably around 5'8" to 5'10", and that would have been tall for that time.
Mhm.
That pony wall that he's behind right there is at least 36 to 42 inches tall. So if he was standing on the actual where the roof used to be, that would make this cowboy about 8 feet tall. He's floating.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's not dependent upon the
Yeah.
physical matter in the material world here to be
Right.
holding himself up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if there was still a roof there, that would mean that he's over 8 feet tall in the 1800s. I don't think so.
No.
No.
That's
Wow.
pretty awesome.
That's
Oh,
very awesome.
It's a great capture because there's limited
Oh, thank you.
possibilities to explain it away. It's so limited, and you've ruled them out just by being aware of your surroundings.
Yep.
So I mean, that's
Yeah. It's my shining star.
that's great.
That's awesome.
Oh,
It is.
thanks.
It's way cool.
All right. So thanks, Anthony. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next photo. And okay. Here, let's see. There was more than one of those. Okay, I showed them both. All right, let's go to this one. So what do we have here?
Oh, okay. We went up to the I think they call it the Haunted Hill House. It's up in Mineral Wells. And my friend and I didn't take it. My friend Sarah took that one. We were standing inside this room. What is it with dolls and clowns? This is a doll and clown room. And I was just like, I don't want to go in there. So she's standing in there, taking pictures as she goes around. And she accidentally took a picture of that through the door. And she goes, oh, there's something wrong. And she's about to delete it. I'm like, no, that's a woman. Look at her
Thing.
stockings.
Yep.
This is right outside the madam's bedroom. She has a 1930s bob haircut.
Black
You can see
shoes,
her
stockings,
big collar. Yeah, she's standing up against the staircase right outside her bedroom door.
Is that a leg?
Yeah.
Is she holding a baby?
Okay, see, that's what some people are saying, because
Yeah, I can see that.
There was supposed to be one of the good time girls, if you want to call her that, who had a baby, and there was a baby. He was born with some sort of birth defect. I can't remember. And
Sorry,
that didn't scare me. And he was kept up in a room. I want to say his name was Toby or something like that, or Tommy, but he had his own little room. I think he might have had like some sort of facial deformity.
I was going to say, it almost looks like it.
Yeah. And so they kept him up in that room, and the other rooms were used for the girls and stuff. And he's a very active spirit, the little boy. And you can put cat balls in the room, and the cat balls, or, they'll light up and little balls will roll out. And I was standing at the top of the stairs, and it's like all the rooms circle around the stairs. And I was just looking over, waiting, for my friend. I was just looking over in that direction, and I saw what looked like, and this is the weirdest thing. I don't know how to describe it, like little tribbles from Star Trek, but they were tumbleweed tribbles, and they were just rolling out the door from his room. I'm like, what is that? And it was just, I don't know if it was a ball of energy or something, but it's a very active room up there. Possibly.
Yeah.
Wow. You're muted, Tony.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to mute because the dogs were barking. The doorbell rang.
I felt the need that maybe some of the younger viewers, if they don't watch Star Trek, might not know what she was referring to, because I thought that was hilarious. Those are tribbles.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Those are the trouble with tribbles.
And that
was the exact episode.
T. Kirk.
Yeah. Kirk. Yes. He that's exactly what it looked like, except they were black and they were like balls rolling out.
Wow.
It's like Gremlins back in the day.
Yeah.
First Gremlins.
Shouldn't have fed it after midnight.
And don't get it wet.
All right. Next photo. Here it is.
Okay. That was one of my favorite ones. I don't say I'm a psychic or anything. I just say I'm intuitive, and I'll go with that. But this is the Yorktown. Yes. Yeah. I have to remember where I was. Yorktown Memorial Hospital, near Seguin, Texas, which is kind of down in San Antonio. And it was a hospital, and they also had a chapel. There was I don't like to say the demon word because I don't believe in demons. I do believe in evil. I believe in negativity, but I don't believe in demons. But there is something evil and negative about that chapel. Things happen, people get touched. And if you look inside the door, you can see the shadow figure. I would not walk into that room. And I think I saw Michelle LeBaron was in the chat.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She was there that night. She walked into the room, she and another girl. Oh no, get me out of that room. But I did not go in there, but you can see the shadow person there.
Black robe.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a priest or something who perhaps didn't do.
Wow.
It looks like there's a wing.
Mm-hmm. But I was up in the, I was up in the choir loft.
With a cloak.
Do you see him with the robe?
Yeah, kind of. Yep. Yeah.
There's definitely a shadow standing there, no doubt about it.
Right, peeking around the edge. Zoom back out, Tony, would you?
Looks like a grim.
It actually reminded Lourdes of something.
It reminded me of the cache that Ron got in the Queen Mary.
By the boiler room number 3 door.
Yeah.
The hooded robe shadow figure.
It's similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Throw out a little bit more, Tony.
Out?
Yeah, right there. Victoria, is that an 8-foot door or a standard size door?
How tall is a standard door?
6'8".
Well, that's an organ directly in front of it. It might be a little bit taller.
Okay, so that's an 8-foot door because that organ's about 5 feet.
Okay. Yeah, because that organ came about almost chest level to me.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that makes that shadow figure almost 8 feet tall.
No, if it's an 8-foot door, he'd be 6 or 7. 6.
We'll look at the top of his head. Scroll back in. That right there is his shoulder, right by your mouse.
Right here, his shoulder. So his head ends about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at something different.
Yeah, I think you're looking at this, which is
I'm looking at his head over by the hinge, is what I'm seeing. Like he's peeking around the door frame.
Oh, this.
It's probably a pixelation.
Yeah, I think that might be pixelation. The shadow figure, leg, waist. This might be an arm.
That's what
shoulder
I'm thinking.
here, and then head.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I see.
And is that
yeah.
is that a preliminary tic-tac-toe game on the left? Is he an X and an O?
He's saying I love you. Hugs and kisses.
Yes. They do rent this out to a lot of groups, and unfortunately people want to tag, and so they do their best. They go through there and they try and clean it up. Could not see that until I used my full spectrum, and it's all throughout the building. It's like, oh,
so Audra and I are a little curious why a hospital chapel would have a casket.
Oh, it's paranormal groups go in there, and not to mention names or anything, but there was a paranormal show with 3 people, and the one guy, his name starts with Zach Baggins, and he went upstairs and he goes, "Okay, you nuns, you don't like me. I'm ripping off my shirt." Are you all familiar with that one?
Yes.
That's the place.
That's where it was. Huh?
Oh.
So
wow.
Well, we should.
So far, we've seen solicit activity by ripping off your shirt and by offering women to the spirits on the roof.
Nice.
I know the true backstory of that. My friend of mine was one of the first tour guides of Yorktown. She has sleeves, and she was with 2 other psychic ladies, and all 3 of them were feeling that they had some pressure on their chest. And when she went to tell someone, it turned into a game of telephone. Next thing you know, it's like if you have tattoos, the nuns are trying to strangle you. It's like, no, that's not how it goes at all. But it just snowballed into that. So when Zach gets there, he rips his shirt off. Yeah. Must have been sweeps. I don't know.
I love episodes like this when we get really good photos, not just because Chris is amazing with them, because he is, but it also gives you a really nice glimpse into the moment too. And that's another great catch with a photograph too. And full spectrum is interesting because a lot of people, I think, acquire full spectrum, but you don't always see evidence presented in full spectrum. But I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that was like one of the first times I used it. I was getting orbs and purple things, and it was amazing.
All right. So this next photo is one of my favorite ones that you submitted.
Yeah.
But hoping you can give me an explanation as to exactly what we're viewing, what the original photograph was supposed to be taking. And
is it a cat? No.
Nope. Here it comes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Ooh. I did not take that. That was someone, I used to work for a ghost tour company, and a guest on a ghost tour actually took that photo, and I stole it. I admit it, I stole it. Back in 1923, we're back in Old Town Spring again. The Winchies, because you saw the WE or whatever. Okay, that is a picture of, they think of Alina Winchy, and she was with her fiance, and they were jumped like a week before their wedding, and she was shot in the back, and her fiance Edward was, had his throat slit. She runs across town, which is all of 3 streets. She's heading to her father's house, and she dies. Now, people are saying that she might have been pregnant because, it was a really quick, hey, how do you do? Let's get married next week. And so it was a really rushed wedding. And then she has those 2 orb type heartbeat things in her. Now, if you look at the bottom, she has no legs. And she was running, and that's exactly the direction you would go to get to her dad's house. That's right where they found her body too.
Do you guys want to hear something even more interesting than this?
That's a fantastic.
I've seen this. I've seen this before.
This is a fantastic. We actually had somebody on a month or 2 ago that had a similar picture. She was in a different stance. She was standing in the tree line, but it was in a gray photo.
Ooh.
It was a black and white photo. She wasn't running in that photo. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, that's
maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Because that looks familiar to me.
But if
Like
you
if I've
look at
seen it
the
before.
movement, she is running.
So you may not know this, Victoria, but my first question is, what kind of camera is this? I've never seen coloring like that. It almost.
I have a guess. There's a couple of apps. There's a Ghost Hunter app that has a camera. It's not like full spectrum necessarily, but it does like a green filtering kind of thing to it.
It could possibly be, but that area right there, it's just the weirdest thing. There is a big street light, and it has kind of a different light bulb than the other ones. And whenever you take pictures there, they just turn out green. So a lot of that weird neon green is just the way the pictures turn out there. It's not a fluorescent light, but it's some sort of weird light.
The detail on it is amazing, though.
Yeah.
You can see, like, if she's wearing like some sort of a tank top or something like that, and she has a shawl. Is that what they're called? Wrapped around her, you can see that clear, and the features in her face are so clear.
Yes.
The detail on it is almost too good to be true, and it's amazing. You can see the strands of her hair.
Yes.
But what throws me, and I could be completely wrong, but what throws me just a little bit for a loop, like, so you can see her hair blowing what looks like in the wind, but what really throws me for a loop is, here comes her arm, the elbow down to her hand. That looks like a digital recorder to me.
Oh,
blurred by motion.
Okay.
That does. What are you showing me, honey? Oh, I see.
Like I said, I stole it, so it's not my photo. But
like, these are the two mics, but see this streak? That's motion blur coming off of here and here. This sorry, you guys can't see my mouse. So, this is the motion blur of it moving from across and here to here, because it's not that wide, but that looks like a mic to me.
Okay.
Reflecting in the light and then motion blurred. Now, I could be wrong, but it looks like somebody holding a digital recorder.
It's very possible. I mean, if somebody had a slow aperture and somebody was moving.
Well, even in lighting, in dark lighting, a motion blur is possible, because your shutter's staying open longer to catch the dark, to catch the light, to take the photo.
But what's interesting, though, she doesn't have legs.
Well, true, unless she's got dark pants on. And
I was going to say, you can see legs.
And this is her hip.
Yeah.
And these are the eyes.
Okay.
So it's hard to say, and we won't spend any more time on it. But I just, the first thing I thought is, okay, that woman's carrying a digital recorder, so at least you can ghost hunt on the other side. That makes me happy. All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool though. All right.
Or what we call people hunting then?
Well, that's a good question. It's just hunting, I guess. All right, what do we have here?
Up in the window where next to it says the dugout, I believe. There's a face in there. This is again in Old Town Spring. There's a story of a little girl falling out of the window, dying. That's why the bars are on there now. But there's usually not a face there.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
All right, next. This might be the same.
Same one.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Same place. Yeah. Same window.
Oh, that's
That's very clear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I could see that one. Yeah.
It doesn't look like the same guy.
Yeah, it does. It's got different facial features than the last one.
Is it taken in consecutive, like, same time?
I took those. I can't tell you for sure. That's just one of the places we'd always stop on our tour, and every time I'd take a picture there.
It's just that the guys look different.
Yeah, you might have caught two.
Yes,
Very cool.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
All right, let's see what we got next. Oh,
Charlie.
we've seen that one. Sorry, my mistake.
Never too much, Charlie.
We've seen that too.
Yep,
Yeah,
same
it's a different photo though.
Oh yeah, another face.
Oh.
See, that's a different facial structure. Look at it. The
Yeah,
nose is a
you're right,
different shape.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. That takes us to this one. Oh,
that's
just
the lady.
another shot of. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can clearly see the legs.
For all of our new viewers, this is our moment in review.
And I think this is the last one.
Oh.
There's a man
Oh.
standing in the doorway.
There is a man. That's my hair right there. Oh, you can't see where I'm pointing. That's my hair. There's a man standing in the doorway.
Yes,
we were all sitting on the floor.
Wow.
That's a huge shadow, though.
Whoa.
If that's another 8-foot door, how wide is that, Chris?
Your standard door is an entry door is 32 to 36 inches.
Okay,
wide.
so he has to be heading towards the door then. He's not at the door yet.
If you look close, he's heading towards you. So it looks like he's already come through the door, and he's probably 12 to 18 inches in front of it. But the reason I say that is because if you look close, he's wearing glasses.
Oh,
You see that?
I think he's looking at that on the side of the head there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the angle of his head, that could be what that could be what that is.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be. Or it's the back of his head, and he's just got curly hair. No,
I mean, that's a
seriously,
possibility.
You can't,
You're right.
you can't with
Yeah.
100% certainty
Yeah.
determine which way he's facing. It's kind of like that weird horse picture where they come.
The reason I say that is because you can see the edge of his collar, and the higher edge of a collar is usually towards the back.
Okay, I see what you're saying. He's walking out.
And no, I'm saying he's walking in towards you.
He's walking in.
Oh, I see what he's saying because of the collar line looks like it's higher on the left of the picture.
That's a good catch, Chris.
Yep.
Okay.
Collar line's always higher in the back.
You're right.
So he's coming in. So you're looking at his face. You can actually see a portion of his forehead before his hairline starts, and right below that portion of his forehead appears to be glasses because the light appears to be shining through it.
Okay.
Leave it to a guy with a law enforcement experience, a collar to go.
Yeah, I was sitting in a chair. My friend was sitting on the floor when she took that, and there was nobody in the door.
Oh, wow.
I think the word creepy is very appropriate for this catch because that's amazing. That's really
What's even more creepy than that is when you look at it and you start picking it apart and you realize he was closer to you than you think.
Well, I'm sleeping with the lights on tonight.
Chris Millar calls you the ghost photo whisperer. All right. I think that is all for photos. Let me just look. Yes.
We haven't seen Charlie in like 5 minutes. Can we see?
What was that?
Charlie.
Yeah, we haven't seen Charlie for like 5 minutes. I was just wondering.
Should we go back to Charlie?
Are we all going to get Charlie tattoos later tonight?
Floating Charlie.
That's a great catch. That is a great catch. That Charlie picture is amazing.
Yes, it's good and plenty.
So Sarah is asking, do you often see portal activity in locations that are highly active with shadow people?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I know I won't speak for Victoria. I'll let her answer herself, but I know that we have run across shadow people, and we know for a fact that over about a 3.5-4 year period, we had gotten different names, different voices. It wasn't always the same. Now, does that 100% identify that there's a portal in that location? No, but could it possibly mean that one is there? My guess would be yes. In order for them to come and go, they have to have a means to do that. And a portal would be the easiest method for them to come into this dimension and back out again.
I'll tell you what I love about that question, and then I want to hear her answer. And what I loved about your answer is that question speaks to an aggregation of data. If you go to a location one time, you can't make an assessment that, oh, every time I go somewhere, there's a shadow thing, there's a portal activity, whatever. But for you to answer that or to say that, you have to have some kind of a cognitive aggregation of data where you know this is something that you have experienced or logged more than one time, more than one place. The question is awesome just for that reason alone.
Sarah's an amazing person. She's a friend of mine.
Cool.
Which is now brings me to a question for you. This is a fairly active house, and I've noticed over the last few weeks since things have been going on. I've been doing a few more things. I've left town a couple of times. Our spirits here, if you want to call them that, are they're a little bit more active because my back has been hurting. So I've been using a hiking stick, and I was taking the trash out today. And Saturday, I was up in North Texas with the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, and we were doing an event up there. And so I'm taking the trash out, and I've leaned my little hiking stick up against the wall. I'm coming back, and all of a sudden it just flips up and flies. And I'm like, well, hello, I still love you. You're my favorites, And when I'm not thinking, like when I'm doing dishes or something, or I'm just, well, what should I wear tomorrow? What should we have for dinner? I'm in that theta beta zone or whatever it is. That's when I start seeing some of the shadow figures here. And we have this cute little blonde guy. And I saw him again today when I was getting dressed because I'm thinking, well, okay, now I need to do this. I got to go set some lights up. I take my computer downstairs. And he always pops up in the mirror. And, I see him when I look in the mirror and I turn around. He's not there. So does that mean we have a portal here? Or is it just like the Holiday Inn for ghosts? I mean, they just come here for the night and just disappear.
Do you experience more than one? I mean, I've heard you, I think, speak of at least two so far.
Yeah.
But
there's the little girl who lives upstairs. There's a heavy stepping man that walks across every day at 3:30. There were two people arguing, two men's voices arguing downstairs when we first moved in. There's the cute little blonde guy. There's someone who's a kind of a prankster. I have an old CRV car with auto locks, and I always hang up my keys. And I'm sorry, CRZ, the old car. And when I halfway getting to my car and I'm about to reach for my car to get in, my doors will all lock. And I'll have to go back, get my keys, then go unlock it. So he's like a little prankster type. So I've lost count, 5, 6 maybe that are here.
Well,
and now
my guess would be that that's a possibility then. But without I mean, I guess what would determine whether it's a portal or whether it's just resident figures, that's what has to be determined. If it's, if somebody comes into your house 5 years later and it's still the same 5, then it's probably resident ghosts, meaning not residual, nothing to do with that explanation, but that's where they're residing. Yeah. And whether they leave for certain amounts of time and come back, a portal, a true portal area, you'll get different entities, different names, different attitudes, different everything. If you're experiencing the same ones over and over, then it's probably resident spirits. But on the portal question, Al,
I was just going to bring that up,
is asking, what would a portal be? Who wants to take that?
So let me see if I can help. So being sensitive and feeling energies in multiple locations that we've been at, we've done private residences where we found Francesco's house in the closet.
Right.
We found an actual, I called it a doorway, which is actually a portal. You could feel there was a constant energy coming from the area that we found this doorway in, and you could feel the spirits passing through it, in and out. And he had multiple spirits in the house. He had an angry guy that would pull other spirits in through the doorway. And we had Joe was a demonologist. Between him and I, and Tony was in there with us, we closed that doorway. Portals are hard ones to eliminate because you have you don't want to get it confused with an energy vortex. A portal is where the veil is thin enough or has been opened enough where spirits can come and go from the realm that they're not used to being in. Because you also have spirits that walk the earth, travel wherever they want to. They can travel. I mean, we have them here in North Carolina where at our old residence, the rental that we had here, pretty much, it felt like a thoroughfare. It felt like an area where they just passed through and stuck their head in any house they wanted to.
Right.
So Al, to answer your question, to define a portal, I don't know if there's anybody out there that can accurately define what a portal is, but I can tell you from my experience, it's an area where a doorway has been opened and energies can pass and be pulled through, or it's an area of the veil that's thin enough where spirits can come and go as they please. Their energy is stronger than the density of the veil that usually keeps them from crossing over into our realm.
Those are two really good. Both of you. Those are two really brilliant explanations for addressing that. I always look for something like that. As you would want to be able to figure out, I guess, how you could delineate, I guess, as far as data capture or aggregation of measurements. Let's say, right? Like I think, isn't there supposed to be like a disorientation of like a compass in either a vortex or in a portal?
Yes.
It's tantamount. There are certain studies that refer to it as like a terrestrial black hole, similar to what you have in space, but actually a much less powerful and different version of it. But I would look for data. I mean, I'm curious if there's a lot of study or research into that aspect of delineating between a portal, a vortex, and then measurable compared to just like, a manifestation, a place that has activity, and then somewhere where you have a heightened area of it. And is it concentrated in the same way when you have a cold spot situation, right? And if you think that's transfer of energy from thermal into kinetic, let's say, or, whatever else, you have a cold spot that's usually isolated. It's at the top of the stairs. It's in the corner. It's not like the entire house goes frigid.
Right.
Right.
Well, like the doorway I was talking about at Francisco's house, when Joe and I were standing in front of where we found what we consider to be a portal / doorway, it felt like the energies coming through. It felt like people passing you on a subway. It felt like you were at a busy subway in New York and people were just crossing back and forth, going in and out. And then at the same time, dead center of what we felt was that doorway / portal, we stuck an EMF meter in there and the thing spiked. I mean, you go 6 inches to the left and 6 inches to the right, and the meters would drop. Right. But if you held it dead center, it would spike. Up and down, same thing. The minute you step 2-3 feet back, it would lower again. The minute we closed it, never happened again.
Right. So that's perfect. But if you could find that in other places, you can find and identify once you have a trend of that data, measuring it and having those characteristics. You go to other places, you find the same thing. You can start drawing conclusions based on a preponderance of evidence from locations where you have measurements like that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, the easiest way that I think of a portal is it's an energy doorway that crosses dimensions. And when you think about dimensions, I mean, obviously spirits aren't well, they can be because they're crossing over, but our 3D world dimension is different than their dimension. And although both simultaneously exist, a portal is nothing more than an energy doorway that allows them to cross. But with that being said, it is right now 7:54. We have, I think, 3, maybe 4 videos yet to go through. The KUNX network will shut the show from an audio perspective off at the top of the hour or slightly before to move on to their next scheduled program. If you want to continue, we'll probably go another 20 minutes or so to go through the rest of the video evidence that Victoria so nicely supplied. Switch over to Facebook or YouTube. It will continue to play on there, or even the Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence live stream Facebook page or YouTube page. So if you are going to move on to KUNX's next program, thank you so much for at least stopping in, taking a look. Hope you enjoyed it. So hope I didn't cut you off, Ron. If I did, I didn't mean to do that. I was just
no.
Eye on the time.
Not at all.
Okay, good. I am going to move on then to the next video. Race is waving. Everybody wave goodbye. All right. So now let's go back to the video. Okay. So I played that one. All right. So here's the next video. I'm going to play it first, and then we can discuss it. Okay. Here it is.
Are you by the tree? Can you knock on something?
Are you hung in the tree?
I just want to make sure you guys can hear it because I thought I saw is the sound there?
The sound is there, yeah.
It said the mic wasn't active, so okay, thank you. Here comes again.
It registers really low, like on Facebook and stuff like that, but there's really sound there.
All right, here it is.
Are you by the tree? Can you knock on something?
Are you hung in the tree?
I can hear the other people. Come touch this green light. Everybody has walked away from me. I don't fear you. You don't scare. As a matter of fact, I invite you. Come see me. Touch me. Anything. Stay away from the girls. Come on to me. Nah, I'm not. It just feels different now.
Wow. Yeah. Who's Ricky?
Yeah, see, yeah, that's what I heard. That's creepy.
That's what we heard.
I'd have been changing my name by 8 a.m.
I think I just figured out why I never get a date because I'm just we were hanging out, as everyone does. They go to the hanging judge's house. It's Friday night. Let's go to the hanging judge's house. And we were standing on the back porch. And I'm down here in the South, just north of Houston. And yeah, that was creepy. And so I'm holding my new digital recorder. It's mine. Nobody can touch it. So I'm holding it. So I know no one's talking into it. And we were trying to get an EVP. We were at the judge's tree where he would hang people in his backyard. And the judge was known to be a little hallucinogenic because he was drinking a lot of moonshine, which later they found out had ergot in it, which everyone knows. It's the kissing cousin to LSD. So he was seeing things and he was hanging people like crazy. And, we have all the civil rights and racial things going on down here in the 30s. And so that's when the judge was very active. And there's a lot of lynchings. So I'm holding it, and the guy I was with was going, is anybody here? Anybody here? And then you hear somebody whisper, Ricky. So, and not everything was documented because I've been trying to find out who Ricky was. There's a second EVP in the middle where it sounds like to me he's saying the law, which is something my family said, they're good old Southern people. They wouldn't call it the police or the judge or anything. It was the law, like, oh, slow down, there's the law. And I was standing on the judge's back porch. And then he says, Ricky again. Now, the really fun part is I was sharing this with a friend a few months ago, and we were, again, hanging out in the back porch. And she shows me a picture that she took over there. And there are two men who they're obviously spirits because you can see through them. And they look like they're wearing clothes from the 1930s. So that would have been the same time period the judge was lynching everybody over there.
Wow.
That's awesome. That first response.
That's so clear.
The depth of the voice and that gave me chills. And we've heard a lot of freaky EV, but that was that's a chill up my back just with the way that the
sadness in it,
verb to it, that was freaky. That was freaky. All right, so the next clip.
Which one I'm going for? This guy right here? Oh, okay.
And then you are on this one. So
I'm learning.
So go ahead and hit that.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh God, something just touched. That's professional. Oh, I'm sorry.
Seeing if I can get whatever's on the way.
There's some war going on over there.
That's like paranormal
favorite clip ever.
That was Michelle LeBaron.
Michelle's watching right now. Michelle,
know,
we're
that's
not
why.
here no more.
So take a bow, Michelle. We heard every word of that.
I love Michelle. I was in the OBGYN room, whatever, and I was kind of in a corner, and there were some spider webs, and I don't do spider webs, so I was kind of staying away from them. And it felt like two hands touched my hips, like, "Excuse me, I'm going to cross behind you." And so I said, "Oh, something touched me." And I was taking pictures with my full spectrum, and that's when I got the orb going around. And then you hear Michelle scream, "I saw a shadow person!" Like, well, I guess that's my guy.
Did somebody say that's professional when they heard
That was
the?
me. That was me. Like, no, that's professional.
I love it. That's my favorite clip of all time.
She busted my recording. You know, it's like I can't play this anywhere.
The best part is all 7 of us have done that at one point.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No, I've developed a new. I'm an ambassador for the Texas Renaissance Festival, so you know I'm doing all this clothing and stuff. And I was dressed up last year or something. It's still 100 degrees here. You know, I got like 5 or 6 layers of clothes on, so I'm in the cabin. I'm stripping off my clothes, and I still have like 2 layers of clothes on, and I'm bending over, and something pokes me in the butt. And I stand up and I look at my friend. I said, "Did you just poke me?" And she's, "No, why?" And right when I'm looking at her, it looks like someone took a finger. There was a little blanket on the back of the sofa, and it just flipped it over on her. So our new catchphrase is, "Well, that just happened." So, you know, so you don't have to scream any profanities or anything. So, well, that just happened, you know.
Well, Victoria said you were looking for a date. Sound like you found one.
I was in my bloomers, so. You know.
Getting ghosted is not a bad thing now.
That's true.
We joke, but my husband died a long time ago. Well, I don't date anymore really because men don't like me for whatever reason. But yeah, he shows up on my first dates a lot of times. And, you know, it's like, well, they turn the meet and the greet into a met and regret. They're like, "Bye, see ya." Your dead husband's here. I gotta go.
I know.
Maybe he's protecting you.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. Seriously, no.
All right. We have one more video clip.
And this is our last video clip. Here we go.
No, they're not at all. Flash.
How much does it have to do with us being together?
You know, I can't explain it, but my camera, my full spectrum, I was using it at Ballinger in the jail. And all of a sudden, I took a photo.
Did you say he was dead?
They said he's dead.
He's dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
You said, what? I never heard that.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, when I listen to it, I hear he's good. But
Oh.
Well, let me play it one more time.
Yeah.
And then there's a second one. What's his name?
I heard that one.
Yep.
I told you
Yeah.
that's what it said. Yeah.
All right, here it is again.
No, they're not at all. Flash.
How much does it have to do with us being together?
You know, I can't explain it, but my camera, my full spectrum. I was using it at Ballinger in the jail. And all of a sudden, I took a photo.
I hear he's good.
Yeah, I heard he's dead. She heard he's good.
I hear he's good. That's what
I
I
hear
heard.
he's dead. He's dead.
I heard he's dead too. Either way, he's good.
Yeah, either way, it's still fantastic.
And that sounds like
response.
a boy, little boy, like around 10 years old.
Could be. It's a whisper, so whispers are harder to tell.
Remember when we were investigating at the San Carlos, it sounded like Sean's voice.
There's some similarities, but there's not enough tonality to it's more of a whisper.
Play it again.
All right.
I'm just
We're gonna play it again.
One more time.
Yes.
Here
we go.
No, they're not at all. Flash.
How much does it have to do with us being together?
I can't explain it, but my camera, my full spectrum, I was using it at Ballinger in the jail. And all of a sudden, I took a photo.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. She could be right, but I can't identify an age group because it's a whisper. But
Yeah.
that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
Very cool.
It's way cool.
Yeah.
All right,
I
so
still hear
Victoria,
he's dead.
anyone wants to see?
I still hear he is good. I agree with Victoria. But anyway, I'm sorry, Tony.
No,
Well, Michael was talking about his camera and all the stuff he was doing, and he's good.
That's what I hear.
Huh.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do hear that. Yeah. Anyway.
I do hear that.
I hear
So if anyone in the audience wants to see, do you have a YouTube channel? I know you have a Facebook, but are there other things up there that if they wanted to see other things that you may have captured or done? Now I know you've done some mini-series. I know you've done some documentaries. Do you want to push any of those?
That's Mike Ricksecker. I was in his Shadow Dimension miniseries documentary epic motion picture, season 1, episode 1 and 2. Mike Ricksecker and I, for the next few weeks, we'll be doing a show called Edge of the Rabbit Hole, and we're breaking up the band. So that was all Mike's doing, but I have recently started a Facebook page. It's just called Victoria Mundae's Paranormal Activities, because I have a series of books. Again, it goes back to dating. I was telling this one guy I was starting to go out with about all my things I was doing, and he's like, "Wow, you really should write a book." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be called Victoria Mundae's Paranormal Activities, the coloring book," because there's nothing scary out there. And so I started making paranormal activity books, and so there's like word pages and games and coloring pages, and it's everything to loosen up your brain to get you to start thinking outside the box. And that's when you can start connecting, I feel, and you start seeing life in another direction. So I have a series of 6 books, and some are for kids and some for adults. And so that's all on my Victoria Mundae's Paranormal Activities. And I'm on Twitter. So I think a lot of these are on my Twitter page too. So I'm just letter V Mundae. You can find me out there.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So just to give a little plug for Mike, Victoria did show us that clip. That is from the first one that we played. That was just a very small portion of Mike Ricksecker's Shadow Dimensions documentary. So maybe something the audience want to go check out. I have seen it. It is very good.
It is.
Did a great job.
It is. I believe it's available on Tubi or YouTube. One of them. I can't remember which.
Tubi. I think.
Tubi.
It's everywhere now. So
yeah.
So it's
okay. So anything else, Victoria, you want to let the audience know before we wrap up?
No, I just thank you so much. We were talking earlier about the little kids that live out in Old Town Spring, about the orphanage that burnt down. And that's one of the really cool things we hear out there is there was an orphanage. And since the kids unfortunately died and they couldn't identify them, they're kind of in a mass grave that's not marked. And we've actually found the graves. And then like a mile or so away from the church and the little graveyard, you can hear the little kids running through about 2:00 in the morning. You hear them laughing and you hear them playing and you hear them going through Old Town Spring. And then I found out not too long ago, like a mile the other direction, there's a subdivision there that is reporting the same activity, and their cabinet doors open, and just like little pranky things. So that's something I'm going to start digging into. No pun intended. Digging into, seeing if I can find out about the orphanage. And the next book I'm working on in the Paranormal Activities series is The Hollowed Earth, because I think that's a real thing. Not like the avocado, take out the pit, not like that or anything, but like little ant hills and stuff like that. Where I think there's something there. I'm looking into that.
Cool.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
you.
Ron, Marta, is anything left to add or say?
Well, I mean, I want to say thank you for joining us. This is it was a very important flagship show on the KUNX network. You were fantastic. You gave us fantastic evidence.
Yes.
And something you did throughout all of the show, when any of your evidence was shown, and when you talked about any of it, is you had a sense of pleasure and levity and enjoyment with it, and that's what passion looks like. So when you can have that kind of connection to doing this stuff, you're doing the right thing. So I thought that was really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. You should see what we gathered. We were up in Granbury, Texas, and we were having so much fun up there. And I don't believe in can you light the light up to the green, and all that kind of stuff with the K2 meters. We were in an old brothel, and we had a REM pod, had a $20 bill on the table, and it's like, this guy's mine. You want to come fight me for it? And just stuff like that, and we were having a great time. It's the paranormal is there. It's part of our life. It's just the part we don't see, really. Well, sometimes we do, but it's part of life. So embrace it.
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, Chris, do you want to give us a closing?
Ron. Well, Victoria said it great just a second ago when she said the paranormal is there. It's out there. We all chase it. And if you want to catch Charlie and you want to catch whispers like Ricky, there's only one way to do it. You got to stay haunted. Have a good week, guys. Thanks for watching on the new network.
Night.
Okay.